Hi everybody, welcome to my presentation here, the other after flight. It's flight dispatch and operations management. In the next 45 minutes we're going to go through a flight planning course in airline operations that takes anywhere from 6 weeks to 12 weeks to complete to get your actual license. So we're going to do it really fast today. The normal course is like drinking water from a fire hose. It'll be like drinking water from about 6 fire hoses. So a little bit about me. I'm a FAA licensed dispatcher. I've been doing that since 2008. I went to a special school here in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, called the Sheffield School of Aeronautics. They're one of the best dispatch schools in the world. Right now I work for Delta Airlines as a flight dispatcher. I'm internationally qualified. I can dispatch an aircraft anywhere in the world, including the U.S. As far as airplanes, I've dispatched everything, with the exception of about the 787 and some of the regional jets. I've been an operations manager before. I was at a regional airline where I started in dispatch and then moved up through the ranks. So I've had experience doing the other half of the job as well. I've been doing flight simulator for over 30 years. My grandfather got me into it on FS3 or whatever it was, the CD-ROM version. And then I'm on the vast board of governors. I'm a C3 controller. I love everything about flight simulation, you know, aviation, everything. So I'm all into it. So, question for you guys. How many people do you think it takes to get an airplane from here to here? 2, 3, 4, show of hands, 50, 60, 20? All right. Well, the pilots are just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many people with different specializations that we need to do a flight. Customer service agents, ramp agents, air traffic controllers, maintenance technicians, flight attendants, operations managers, meteorologists, operational support staff, people like crew schedulers and aircraft drivers, various headquarters staff. We're still a business and we have to make money to actually have the airline run, so we have all kinds of other jobs. Obviously we have the pilots, and then finally, the most important, the dispatch. So whether you realize it or not, if you're a flight simulator, you do all these jobs. Using GSX, you're the customer service and ramp agent to do the boarding. If you get yourself a drink or a snack, well, you're doing a flight attendant job. You factor yourself to approach, you're in traffic control. You're trying to decide what the weather's going to do, meteorology. You have a problem with your airplane in flight, or you hit the maintenance button in your FMC when you get down, that's a mechanic. Landing the flight, that's the dispatch job. And then flying, obviously, the pilot. So flight simulation is unique that we can take any degree of realism and tailor it to us. But if you've come to Flightsimexpo, you're probably a little bit more intense on flight simulator, right? So let's take a look at operations management and flight dispatch on the airline side. And let's see how we can use the tools of the pros to better our sims. So first we got to kind of understand the role. What's a flight dispatcher? What's an operations manager? Well, they're similar and they're very different at the same time. So a flight dispatcher, his number one priority is safety of flight. That's everything. Everything else is secondary. So we're going to focus on each individual flight. So we plan every flight, generate a flight release, look at performance numbers for every single flight that is in the air. We're going to decide how we're going to get there. So we're going to look at the route, tailor it to the weather, all that kind of stuff. Then we're going to approve broken items on the airplane. We can fly with all kinds of broken items on the airplane, but the dispatcher needs to decide if it's okay or not. We're going to delay flights for safety reasons. For instance, if we have bad weather somewhere and we don't think we need to operate right now, we'll delay the flight for that. We're going to watch the flights en route. We're going to display, we're always going to make sure that the flights are where they're supposed to be and that they're operating safely and make sure there's nothing ahead of them that causes a hazard. And then finally, we share legal responsibility from the captain. The old joke is, if anything happens to the flight, captain's dead, I go to jail. All right, so the operations manager, what's he doing? Well, he ensures the schedule integrity. He makes sure the airline is running efficiently. He's focused on the big picture. They haven't shown me the big picture in a while, so I don't know what it is. But essentially making sure all the pieces of the airline are flowing together and everything is working correctly. He's going to develop the recovery plans for regular operations. If you've looked at Atlanta today, they're having a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of diversions. So the operations managers are working hard today to try to get all the pieces put back together so we can get passengers to where they want to be. They're going to delay flights for operational reasons. Let's say we have a crew coming in on a flight, and we want to make sure they get on it so we don't have to cancel the next flight. Well, they're going to delay the flight that crew's on to make sure they get there. And then he's going to coordinate equipment swaps. So let's say we have an aircraft that breaks somewhere. We might have another plane who's responsible for assigning that other plane to the flight. So operations management and flight dispatchers, they both make operational type decisions. But as I said, it's the scope of the issue that decides what is whose responsibility it is. So let's take an example here. Let's say we have a line of thunderstorms heading to our destination. And the flight is told by ATC, you're going to get holding until the weather clears. So we're going to hold out, and we discussed options with the captain. The decision is made to defer to the alternate. Who do you think would do that? The dispatcher or the operations manager? You're exactly right. That is the dispatcher. So another example, a hurricane is going to hit Florida in 3 days. Meteorology says, okay, we're going to have a window until 8 hours before landfall that we can operate safely. If we continue to fly, we can have more passengers get out, we can help evacuate, but we got to be careful because we don't want anything to happen and get the airplane and crew stuck in a hurricane. So we have to decide when we're going to stop flying and start flying. So those decisions that can be.
Operations.
Operations manager, absolutely. Now, there's a little caveat, when it comes to the actual doing of the flight, the dispatcher can say, no, I'm not going to fly into that. But you can't have a million different decisions being made. So the operations manager is going to make the general plan. It's up to the dispatcher to execute that plan. And if he thinks it's unsafe, he puts his foot down and says, no, we're not doing that. All right, so it's more tactical decisions made by dispatch and more big picture decisions made by ops management. And this is by design because the FAA says only 2 people are allowed to make operational decisions on that flight. One of them, captain, pilot, command. Next one, flight's dispatcher. And this authority is granted in regulations called operational control. And that's the authority over initiating, conducting, and terminating a flight. And operational control is the foundation of the pilot dispatch system. It's why we have such a safe system because of this right here. So this is the FAR. You can read that if you want. Essentially, this means the aircraft dispatcher and the pilot commander are jointly responsible for planning the flight and executing the flight. So what's that mean? Well, in layman's terms, no flight can depart unless both the captain and the dispatcher agree that it can be completed safely. It's a green-green system. In that vein, if we're en route, the aircraft cannot continue to its destination unless the dispatcher and the pilot command agree that it can be safely completed. So if at any point we decide, I'm not comfortable with this, the flight has to divert, it cannot continue to the destination. So to do that, the dispatcher is tasked with knowing the aircraft just as well as the captain, as well as the regulations. We have the same sort of training. So the FAA has granted a bunch of responsibilities to the dispatcher. We're going to focus on the primary 2 for the sake of this presentation. Number 1 is pre-flight planning, and that's route planning, deciding how we're going to get from A to B, making sure we're legal, all that kind of stuff. Second one is flight following and flight monitoring, and I'll allude to later. This is probably the more important of our duties. Good release is a good thing to have. It's more important to keep the flight safe when they're en route. So pre-flight planning. What do I think about when I'm planning a flight? Well, safety, paramount, number 1. Then weather, departure airports, destination airports, alternate airports, lots of weather. Any other hazards, turbulence out there, volcanic, space weather can cause an effect on some of the long-haul flights. Even political actions or military activity. Our airspace is shut down. Is it maybe not safe to fly across the country right now? Things like that we consider. Aircraft performance. Can the aircraft do what I want it to do? Is it too hot to take as much weight as I want off the runway I'm trying to use? Items broken or missing. I kind of mentioned that. We fly with stuff broken and missing all the time, and you would never know it, and the aircraft is just fine. Airport congestion, air traffic delays. We're at the mercy of ATC sometimes. And then last but certainly least is the economy. Less the amount of fuel time and room. Safety number 1, saving the company money. Last, I will do that when I can, but there's a lot of things that are more important. So our goal is to get the airplane from point A to point B as fast as we can, as short as we can, with the least amount of fuel, and still complete the mission, not divert. And like I said many times I'm going to be more expensive than the cheapest option because safety is number one and comfort of my crew and passengers is number one. All right, so let's plan a flight from LA to Kennedy. First thing we do is decide on a flight plan because I can't do this by hand anymore even though I was trained on it. So, good. You can start with bare basics. Sky Vector, Flight Aware, get a route, look at your charts, great. You can come up with a pretty good route there, but you're not going to get any fuel burn, performance numbers, nothing like that. What's better? Sendbrief.com. I'm sure somebody of you have used this before. Great tool. They will create a dispatch release in the format of Delta, Southwest, KLM, anyone you want. And it'll give you fuel burns. You can do some basic ETOPS for the international stuff. Good tool. What's the best? PFPX. Flightsimsoft has created a tool that is so close to the real world that sometimes I wish I was dispatching on this so I'm actually using it. It can parse NOTAMs, look at track messages. It can do planned redispatch, ETOPS, all kinds of great stuff. I love this program. As I said, very close to what I actually use at work. You can pair it up with Topcat, and you can actually get good performance numbers. Now, Topcat is a little outdated, but they still have good numbers for the basic aircraft you're using, the PMDGs and the level Ds, all that kind of stuff. You can get numbers out of Topcat for that. You can format it any way you want. So just like SimBrief, I can make it look like a Delta release or an American release or whatever I want. So we're going to use PFPX because it's my favorite. And if you want to use PFPX, Flightsimsoft has given us a 10% discount on anyone who attends this presentation on PFPX Topcat data. So use Flightsimexpo 19 if you can get that. All right, so let's follow our process here. Number one, check MEL and CDL status. We're going to take ship 7101 today. It's a 777LR from LA to New York. And we have one MEL applied. It's 322103 for the passenger oxygen automatic pressurization system. So what's that mean? Well, aircraft, they're dispatched all the time with inoperative items or items missing, provided we comply with some penalties which are set in the minimum equipment list or configuration deviation list. So the FAA has built a master MEL for every aircraft, and that has all the penalties in it. And the airline's going to take that and refine it. It can never be less restrictive than the master, but they can choose not to use some MELs. So if you just Google master MEL 777, you can get a website like that on the bottom, and that'll take you to the master MEL. What's the MEL? It means something's broken on the airplane. If you have a issue with maybe a pack or oxygen in this case. CDL means something is literally missing off the aircraft. If we have a door missing or something, we're going to have to apply burn penalties because of the increased drag. So we're going to check the MELs on this because if we do everything else first, then we find out that we have an MEL, that means we can't fly or we can't do something. I just wasted all my time, right? So there's our MEL, master MEL for the oxygen. Do we have any restrictions on this? Well, we have no weather restrictions, we're reading it. But we do have a restriction on altitude here. We can plan our flight, but we have to be at or below flight level 300 for the MEL. So if you take nothing else away from this presentation, if you do some MEL CDL stuff, it'll take your flight setting to a whole new level. That's the easy part. Let's get to the harder stuff. Check departure and alternate weather. So I cannot release a flight under domestic rules if at the time I'm going to get there, I'm below authorized minimums. So what are minimums? Well, minimums are on your approach plane. So we got to make sure the weather's going to be at or above minimums at our ETA, or we have to delay the flight until we are at our minimums. So how do we find our minimums? Well, it's your approach category. It's the stall speed and the landing configuration multiplied by 1.3. And most transport category aircraft are Cat C or Cat D. So 777 is Cat C, so the landing minimums are 200.5. And here's your approach categories for most of your flights and aircraft. All right, so let's take a look at this. Can we legally dispatch our flight to Kennedy with an ETA at 2015 Zulu? Well, we have to check the text. So the text says that we're going to be 2 miles of stability, and the ceiling is going to be broken at 1800 at 2000 Zulu time. So, since the minimums are 1/2 mile, we are legal to dispatch this flight. So let's say our captain calls us and he wants to get home early so he can catch his commuting flight home. Can we accommodate this request? Let's take a look. 25 minutes early, our ETA is 1950 Zulu. Well, from 17 Zulu, we got a quarter mile. No, we can't accommodate that request because we're going to be below minimums when we arrive. Now, this is Cat 1 only. If we had Cat 2 or 3, we could go, but for this version, it's Cat 1. So when do I require an alternate airport? Well, the rule's always. But I can go without listing an alternate airport if at least an hour before and an hour after the estimated time of arrival. My weather reports and forecasts say the ceiling is going to be at least 2,000 above airport elevation, and the visibility is at least 3 miles. And we call this the 1, 2, 3 rule. So, do I require an alternate for our ETA 2015 Zulu? Again, we're going to check the task. We're going to look between 17 and 20, since that's when our ETA arrives. So, an hour before, we got a quarter mile. Let's get our 100 feet. We do need an alternate. And we'll select that step 3. What about the departure airport? Why would I need an alternate for departure? We'll find out in a little bit. But if my weather conditions are below my landing minimums at my departure airport, I have to list a takeoff alternate. The alternate has to be within 1 hour flying time at cruise with 1 engine operative for aircraft that have 2 engines, and 2 hours flying time for aircraft with 3 or more engines. So let's take a look here. Do I require a takeoff alternate with an ETD at LAX at 1545 Zulu? Well, we got to look at our landing minimums first to see if we're going to be at or above minimums, right? So we're going to look at our approaches. The lowest minimums will be ILS 25 left. So what are they? Well, 200.5. So do we require a takeoff alternate at 1545 Zulu? Yes or no? Yeses? No's? Undecided? Yes, we do need a takeoff alternate. I kind of fooled you here with highlighting the tab here, but at the departure time, our METAR says quarter mile. We are below minimum, so we have to do a takeoff alternate. So we're going to do that in step 3 as well. What else do I look at? Do we have thunderstorms forecast? I might add extra gas because I might deviate. What are the forecast winds? I could be on a tail limitations for the runway I want to use. Crosswinds can slow down the airport arrival rate. The departure runway could have a tailwind, and that's going to cause performance issues. All kinds of stuff can hurt me there. Is there any rain or snow forecast that's going to affect the stopping ability of the aircraft? All things into our weight. So we looked at our weather, we decided, all right, we need alternates. Okay, let's select them. So can we choose any airport as an alternate? Yes, no, maybe? No. We can only choose airports that the airline has said we can go to. So they're all approved in our operation specifications. But we want to choose the closest airport because alternates cost a lot of gas. But we also don't want to be too close. We want to choose something practical in case we have to divert somewhere, right? So Newark as an alternate for Kennedy, or Ontario as an alternate for LA. They could work given the conditions. Or we might want to go further depending on the situation. So again, we have a rule. I cannot list an alternate unless my weather reports and forecasts are saying I'm above my alternate minimums at my ETA. So we got to work with minimums more. Well, that's easy. I can just look them up, right? No. We actually have to calculate these. So we have 2 options to do this. We have what's called the 1 nav rule and the 2 nav rule. So the 1 nav rule says that for any airport where I have 1 operational nav, so an ILS approach, a VOR approach, anything like that, I'm going to take the decision height, which we saw on the previous approach, and I'm going to add 400 feet to that to get a ceiling value. And then a visibility by adding 1 mile to the published visibility. So whatever my minimums were, I'm going to add 1 mile to that. So to illustrate this, let's say I have an ILS and my minimum is 200.5, like we've been using. I'm going to add 400 to that 200 to give me 600. I'm going to add 1 mile to that 1/2 to give me 1.5. That makes my alternate minimums 600 and 1.5. Oh, there we go. 2 nav. For airports with 2 operational navigation facilities, meaning I have 2 ILS approaches, or an ILS and a VOR, or anything like that, I'm going to add 200 feet to my decision height, and then only 1/2 sketching out to my visibility. So to illustrate that, I have 2 approaches. One is 300 miles, or 300 feet and 3/4 of a mile. The other one's 200 feet and 1 mile. So we're going to take the highest of the 2. In this case, it's split. You got to consider that. So we're going to have 300 which is the minimum, and then 200 to the additive to give us 500. And then we're going to add 1 mile on that minimum. We're going to add a half, so that gives us 1.5. So the alternate minimums are 500 and 1.5. So now that we've done that, I suppose suitable and legal, really the best. Would Newark 25 miles away be the best if we had thunderstorms in New York? Probably not, because they're going to be right by Newark too. Are there ATC constraints on the airport? I probably don't want to divert to LaGuardia because it's too busy. Is the airport capable of handling my aircraft? Maybe they can handle a 737, but they can't handle the 777. If it's international, do I have passport control and customs? Is the diversion risk high? What I mean by this is, am I better than 90% sure I'm going to my destination and not diverting? Because if there is a good chance of diverting, maybe I want to choose a better airport. And then there's all kinds of other things we think about. So in this case, I think Newark's going to work. Our diversion risk is low. It's just a little bit of visibility issues. And it's on, the weather's supposed to be good when we get there. We're just getting tagged by the hour before. There's no thunderstorms forecast. Yeah, Newark's busy, but they can take a diversion every now and then. But are we at or above alternate, man? So we got to check. So based on this TAF, we can use the Atlas approach in 2-2 left and 2-2 right. So that's the 2 navigating. So let's take a look. 2-2 left, minimum's 200.5. 2-2 right, 200.5. 200 plus 200 is 400. 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1 statute mile. So if you want to cheat at this, that's the absolute lowest alternate minimums you can get. So is Newark legal to list as our destination alternate at 2107 Zulu? Yeah. We have 1.5 miles, broken 700 feet, and we are lower than that on our minimum, so we're perfectly legal. So on takeoff alternates, did you guys forget about takeoff alternates? I hope you did. So takeoff alternate has to remain within how far of an airport? 1 hour for a 2-engine airplane, 2 hours for a 3 or more. And that's why we plan takeoff alternates. If we lose an engine on departure, we can't come right back around. We got to find somewhere to go, and that's why we have that time restriction. All right, so 777 has 2 engines. We got to remain in the hour, within 1 hour. So we can do some math. We can find that distance. You guys ready? You got your calculators? Me neither. Here's a cheat sheet for you. So we're going to go back to PFPX. We can actually insert a distance in the PFPX, and it'll spit out all the airports that are within that distance. We can sort by runway length, all that kind of stuff. So we can find good airports. So let's get the alternate minimums for Ontario. Same minimum apply, all right, cool. I'm choosing Ontario, and you know what? I'm not going to make you do this. We're legal. So the next thing we're going to do is check the indoor weather and plan the flight, because we don't want to end up like this guy. All right. So real world dispatchers, we're going to use all kinds of tools to plan our flight. We have upper airport nesting charts, we have convective outlooks, radar products, IRAC segments, ATC advisories, you name it, we have all kinds of tools out there to look at. Again, the goal of the company wants us to go lowest cost and time, but we want to account for any hazards and constraints. So we're going to arrive at this. Usually it's going to be fuel burn and time, but sometimes it might be more expensive to fly over Canada instead of the US, so we might take a longer flight because it might be a little bit cheaper. But that's rare, and it doesn't apply to Flightsim, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to look at weather, turbulence of the route, all that kind of stuff, and adjust the route from that. So let's take a look at our block today. Well, we have hazards that we might encounter in the route. I got some thunderstorms to the Great Plains, and I got some turbulence to the Great Lakes from 270 to 290. So let's keep that in mind as we plan the route. Again, our buddies in ATC, they tell us what to do sometimes, even though we hate it. So we're going to check the FAA current reroutes page, and what do you know? They issued us a route. So what we can do is, where it says ZLA, ZAB, ZKC to Kennedy, it starts at Panhandle here, which is PNH, and then we have to follow the rest of that route to Kennedy. The problem is Panhandle is in Texas, and it's nowhere near LA. So what we can actually do is fly the best route until we get the panhandle, and then once we get the panhandle, we actually have to follow the rest of that route on the way in. And if you don't, ATC is going to reroute us and say you have to do it anyways. So we're going to put that required portion in the DFBX. We're going to hit build, and DFBX is going to do its magic, and we're going to come up with a route. It's magic. All right, I think that route's good. We're avoiding those thunderstorms. We comply with the ATC required route, and we limited our exposure to the turbulence. Good, I like it. So we get to determine the fuel load next. This is the fun part. We don't want to end up like this. So we're going to add some extra gas, but the minimum fuel is actually defined by the regulation. So what's the minimum fuel I need? Well, I need the burn off. I got to get from A to B, right? What's the point if I don't have that? Then an alternate. Well, if I list an alternate, I want to get there and not run out of gas, right? And finally, the FAA says, you know what, we don't trust you, so you're going to have an extra 45 minutes of reserve on top of that. So this is your FAA required fuel. It has to be on every single flight. We call this bar fuel. That's the amount of fuel the pilot needs to get the hotel bar. All right, so is the minimum enough? Absolutely not. We're going to add extra gas to protect the integrity of the flight and prevent diversion. This amount is completely up to me, however much I think I need. So, why would I add extra fuel? Thunderstorms, ATC, weather impact. I might be getting a thunderstorm on the fuel. I'm leaving Kennedy, and I know I'm going to taxi for 7 hours. Any icing, de-icing, changes, anything. Any reason I think, because I want my wife to actually get out of town, I'm going to add extra gas. All right, so release fuel. How much do we actually put on? It's called BEAR. Burn off alternate reserve extra. Some people will call that contingency fuel, so they'll call it park fuel. Same difference. So given the traffic values of Kennedy, it sucks getting in there. I'm going to give us 50 minutes extra gas. I don't think we're going to divert based on the weather, and I know it's the ATC value, we're probably going to get a hole. I'm going to go 50 minutes, and if you're flying in advance, please add extra gas, otherwise you're going to divert. So here's our final fuel breakdown. We're ready to release this flight. Let's go. Release flight, file flight plan. All right, let's double check our work. So, did we limit the altitude to 300 for the MBL? Yes, we did. Did we comply with the ATC required routing at the panhandle? Yep. Did we check the weather and alternate need for airport legality, seeing all the planes with eyes over there? Yes, we did. All right. Did we list the required destination alternate? Yep, there's Newark. Did we list the takeoff alternate? I sure hope so. There's Ontario. And do we comply with the FAA requested fuel and plan for extra fuel contingency? Yep, there's our 50 minutes right there. Good, we're going to release this flight. PFBX does some really cool stuff. You can export, which will save it in the correct flight plan files to use for PMDG, all that kind of stuff. And then if you hit send, you can actually pre-file on that and right through this program. All right, so creating a legal safe release, yeah, that's important, that's good. But the release is where our job really begins. After we release that flight, we got to make the right decision in special situations to keep that flight safe. So, all this stuff we have to give to the pilot command. If anything changes, anything significant, we got to let them know. Something broke in flight, we got to come up with another plan. I never want to divert an aircraft. I always want to get you guys to Orlando to see Mickey. But I want you guys to get there to see Mickey. That's the most important thing to me. So I will divert you if the safety of the flight is in question. So what if we get a hold up in this flight? We're holding that jet out, we got an EFC in 30 minutes. Do I have to divert now, or can I accept this hold? Well, on our flight plan, I see I have 1,400 pounds burned to get back to Kennedy, or to get to Kennedy. I should have 25,900 on board. I'm sure I hope I have enough. Well, we got to remember the bar. So the burn off is 1,400. If we go back to our release, alternate is 3,400 about reserve, 10,332. We found that in the release as well. So what do we actually have to have? 15,084, we actually have 23.9. We can hold for 8,816 pounds, it's about 43 minutes. Do basic math, we take the hold. Yes. All right, so remember way back when I said I have to know the systems of the aircraft? I'm a big aviation guy, just like you. I like flying PMGs and systems. I think it's cool and all that stuff. But I did it again. That's why I want to know. Hey, dispatch, this is your captain. We're calling in radio. We're 30 minutes outside of Key West. We lost hydraulic system B. We're running through the QRH number 13.6, and we're going to continue to Key West. We want to get to the bar. Well, what? Okay. Because I know systems. I already know large scale what's happening. I lost hydraulic systems. That means I lost some vital systems on the aircraft. If I lost primary hydraulic, what did I lose? Well, I'm going to look at that QRH page. What did I lose? Let's see. Flight spoilers, no big deal. Yaw damper, no big deal. Flaps, I don't need those. My auto brake, nah. My engine tube thrust reverser, nah. Who needs that? After land flaps 15, cool, great idea. No problem. Oh wait, my runway is just over 5,000 feet long. Did I continue to Key West? Yes, no? No. Remember, we lost all this stuff. Yeah. All right. So the captain does have the ultimate authority over the safety of his aircraft, but that doesn't prevent me from going to jail. I actually have to tell him if he's going to do something boneheaded and say, I don't like this, let's think of another plan. And if he tells me no, then I'm like, all right, have fun. I don't think this is a safe situation. You guys agree with me it's not a safe situation. I got to at least say, Captain, this is stupid. And yeah, I do not concur with your decision to go left with the lost hydraulic system B because it's a very short runway and it's wet. I suggest we divert to Miami because they have longer runways and they have better crash fire rescue if I require it. Okay, all right, that sounds good. And this is exactly why we have such a safe aviation system, this pilot dispatch system. There's checks and balances. Captain says, I'm going to go here. Dispatcher says, you sure about that? Is that a good idea? Maybe it gets the captain to think again. It provides someone on the ground that's always looking ahead of you guys, looking for hazards. If a volcano were to erupt, I would see that and I tell the captain, hey, we got to come up with a different plan. And I always know where your flight is. So if something goes wrong, I can immediately tell people where you guys should be. So we avoid something like Malaysia 370. And it's really just a great job. Every day is different. It's immensely satisfying to move an aircraft from, Shanghai all the way to Atlanta, something like that. It's a good feeling, and you get everyone where they want to go safely. You get to go home every night, you're not living at a hotel like a pilot. And then obviously the perks. You get to fly anywhere in the world for little to no cost. And as part of our required training, we actually have to sit in the flight deck to observe and make sure that they know what's going on. All right, so here's your final exam. The captain says, yeah, dispatch here, you're smart, we're not going to do that. So they deferred to Miami. We avoided a potentially unsafe situation. So we call our Miami station and say, hey, guess what, you got another flight coming, good luck. And the crew reported to APZ, they're on their way to Miami, they declare an emergency, and it's safe. Our job's done. Good job, guys. Whose job is it to clean up our mess? That's the operations manager. He's got to pick up all the cases. All right, guys. Thanks for coming to the presentation. Because we're really close to time, I'm going to go out in the lobby. If you have any questions for me about dispatching, operations management, all that kind of stuff, I'll give you as much information as you want. I do have a discount arrangement with the Sheffield School of Aeronautics. If I inspired you to do this job, come talk to me. I can tell you how to save a little bit of money if you want to go there. There's your discount code again for PFPX for all you sinners. I do have some goodies from the Delta OCC that they gave us. Come on, see me. I have some lanyards, some books, that kind of stuff. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for your time.
It's okay, you're good.